it that alters sanity greets you. So today I will not be unpausing the game to play. I am simply trying to record a short video to describe what the fort has been up to in the first year and a half of play. So, it all began here. Okay. The fort was founded in a location where there was a river and a mountain and sufficient trees and, of course, plenty of metal ore. The wagon arrived here and we discovered that we were on the wrong side of the river. The mountain is over there. Not a problem, we just dug straight down. It is now closed. It has been sealed now, but in the past, these stairs were how the fort, well, the initial shelter was built. I'll need to make some seed stockpiles later. This was the initial dormitory, 7 dormitories. So beds are working. Oh, I've destroyed the carpenter's workshop, but let's see. You go to build, workshop, carpenter, and then you would place a workshop built out of some nearby logs. And then a carpenter dwarf created some beds, which then are built by going to build furniture, bed, and then placing them, and then selecting a suitable bed. Then a zone was placed. Yes. Well, in this case, it was a dormitory, and saying all beds in this region count as a dormitory. The dwarves will not claim a bed as their own, they will just share between them. They don't like that, no privacy. But it gets them a bed, and it's better than sleeping on the floor. Also here is some tables. Now, these are red because I like bauxite, so I brought some bauxite boulders all the way from the mountain homes. You don't have to do that. But point is, was it a stone crafts dwarf shop where they made, make rock. Nope, these are the small things. Yeah, it was in a stoneworker's workshop where you can add a task to make a table and a throne. That's what a chair is. This is a throne. It doubles as a chair. And as for where you build that stoneworkers, you go here. Build, workshops, stoneworker, build that out of whatever materials are nearby. And then I produced 4 pairs of tables and chairs, plus another one. So this now is a zone for the dining hall. Designate the dining hall, and now dwarves come here to eat initially. This was the office. So, let's see, administrators. The expedition leader, who I handpicked to have some extra skills, needs an office, especially if they're also the bookkeeper and the broker, I suppose. So I gave them a desk and a chair where they can do their administrative work. Here is a quick drink stockpile I placed so that dwarves who either are thirsty can come here. So, as a quick reminder, place stockpile is here, and then you draw a stockpile like this, and you say what you want that to contain. I like to be specific, so I went to custom and selected food, drinks from plants. That's how you get your beer and such. And I said, all those drinks. put them in here. Not the animal stuff. In this case, it's just mead. So honey is turned into mead, which is an alcohol. And that would give me a drink stockpile. Let me get rid of it for now. Likewise, there was a stockpile nearby for food so that dwarves who were hungry could come here and eat. In Fortress mode, time passes in a strange way such that dwarves only need to eat, drink, and sleep about once every season. Let's see. What else happened? No, that was pretty much the essentials of getting the basic living needs sorted for the dwarves, and then the rest was making the fort nicer. Or in my case, digging straight down, because I wanted to explore. Let me see if I can find the... Here it is. This floor, which I have now sealed over, used to be a staircase going deep down. But this was where I first breached the first cave-in layer, discovered, okay, I don't want anything to fly up from here, so I made another staircase and sealed this one off. So how you do these things, you go to mining, you dig stairwells, and you scroll up or down, and you designate like that. Then to remove, you go to remove mining, and then remove that. Then, to seal it, I removed the staircase, so I selected this to say, get rid of these stairs, just dig them away so that they're no longer stairs. And then put down a construction floor to say, now I want nobody to be able to come up here, so found some suitable boulder nearby and just placed it over there. Incidentally, you can't... I'll show you later, actually. And so the one explorer miner continued digging down, while the other miners were let off duty for the time being. So the way you do that is you find your dwarves, you go into their details, and then you go, labor, I don't want you to mine, or I want you to mine. You click that, and for my one explorer miner, I set him to only do his assigned task, which was mine, and he would do nothing else, except come back to take a drink and such, or sleep. Oh, let me show you hotkeys. With this, you can select certain locations that you want to keep coming back to and say, this is where I want to look at all the time when I hit this key, F1, F2. And then you can very quickly go F2, F3, F1 to get to certain locations very quickly. Very handy for when you want to, say, look at your surface fort and do something. Anyway, so this exploratory hole kept going down, past the first cave-in layer. Then here is another breach which we sealed. This was the second cave-in layer, slightly more dangerous. But since I came here so early, there were no enemies around. The enemies only start spawning a little bit into the game. Could be at population 20, or it could be based on year. Either way, in the early game, they weren't there. So I was safe to dig the area out and find where are the holes and where are the walls. So the survey continued, kept digging down, and here was where the third... No, we seem to have seen it somewhere else. Where'd it go? Anyway, after passing... Oh, here we are. The third cave-in layer was at here. Where, again, I did my usual thing of seal the breach and then make an alternate path up here so that the mining can carry on without being interrupted. And then at the very bottom, I struck magma. Now, you can tell you are near magma because the dwarves will just stop and refuse to dig unless explicitly told to re-dig. This is to prevent dwarves accidentally opening up a hole into a magma shaft and flooding the forts. So, after having confirmed magma was present, figuring out where it was, etc., I then decided to build a ramp leading from this floor, minus 114, and remember the surface is at positive 49, so 150 stories of stone was in the way. And I built a ramp. I prefer ramps over staircases because you need less steps to travel between different Z layers, so you climb altitude faster with ramps. And also, I don't know whether it's still true, but it used to be that staircases were considered empty if a dwarf or any creature was unconscious. So if you had been in a fight here and you got knocked unconscious, you would drop all the way down and splat here. Imagine doing that for a staircase 150 stories tall. That is not nice. You don't roll down ramps like that, so this is a safety measure. And also this lets me build a minecart rail eventually. I'm still getting to that. But I would be digging out a ramp and snaking it along however I could so that I'd navigate around the underground layers without breaching them. Let's see. Go up higher. And yep, here I am in the middle of building a minecart rail so that we can traverse this nicely. But that's not for now. Oops, going the wrong way again. Have to keep looking. Minus 11, minus 10, 8, yep. Oh, this is a nice place. I'll have to set up shop over here later. This was... oh, here. While digging out this ramp, I missed a section, so this came out over here because the caverns don't let you see everything at once. The place where you breached is the only place... The region around the first breach is the only place you can see, so I should have arranged for my ramp to be more nearby here. Anyway, let's see what happened next. So I built this ramp and it breached this cavern, and in fact there was one hostile that came up from here. You can see his blood splatter here. A reacher. Whoops. So that was a small humanoid that was harassing my dwarves. Okay, rather we harassed it, but it wandered into the fort and interrupted our dwarves. That was unacceptable. Here you can see my Starkoods. I believe that's the militia commander. Starkoods. Yep, my militia commander bravely fought the intruder here, took wounds, killed the enemy, and then went off to patch himself up. The corpse of the grabber was hauled away to be butchered so that we could get meat, bones, and skin, which turns into leather from the remains. At some point I may come back into the caverns, but I want to be better armed before I do that. So, what happens next? Then this breach was sealed off and another passageway was entered. I mean, another ramp was dug out. I should point out how ramps work. When you dig a channel like this, what you're doing is these circles will become empty open space, and the next layer underneath becomes ramps. Ramps need an adjacent wall to function, so if you accidentally mine out the wall, say for example to get these gems, then the ramps stop functioning. And in fact, this is what happened earlier on when I was wondering, why can't I build anything down here? It was because somewhere up here, as they were going up, here we are. The ramp had stopped functioning because we dug all of this out. So I had to hastily make a detour around here. Well, yep, this is now a hole. I should fill that up later. And so dwarves will have to take a long detour around here to get up there. I might make something more suitable later on. But in the meantime, this got them walking again. Next, so from that, I linked up a ramp all the way from the undersurface to the original first dormitory. Then, in the meantime, the other dwarves were spacing out this area, digging out more wall, more space, and just haphazardly putting whatever they could find over here. And then the merchants came. Now, dwarven merchants come in autumn. Other civilizations can send caravans, say, in spring, or in spring for elves and summer for humans. Point is, the dwarven merchant caravan is also a propaganda vehicle. They go back home and say how well off we are, and to do that, they need to take back a lot of wealth. So to get more migrants into the fort, it is vital that the merchants go home happy. But, digging out all these ramps and exploring the underground takes time. So how are the dwarves going to make anything while everyone else is busy? Solution was, when I was digging up this ramp, I dug this nice section here and I set up a small pottery shop. One of the autumn migrants that came just before the merchants happened to be a decent potter. In fact, let me see if I can find her. Here. A talented potter, so that's level 6. So I set up a kiln for her, so that's workshops, furnaces, a kiln so that they can make clay. This was because kaolinite over here is a rock that can be used to make clay. So I set up a stockpile just to gather this stone, kaolinite. So the other dwarves will haul over this rock, and then she would drag it over to here and make crafts out of clay. That would require fuel, so I set up a smelter nearby. Workshop, furnaces, smelter. And then from there, they can take a unit of fuel and some coal to make more fuel. Coke in this case. Yes, this floor had both kaolinite and... No, this wasn't the floor with kaolinite, was it? Yeah, both kaolinite and a vein of... where'd it go? Bituminous coal, which we have all dug out now. So you need fuel to make more fuel from coal. So where do you get your first fuel? From a wood workshop. I mean, by burning wood. So furnaces, a wood furnace will burn wood, just logs from the ground, turn it into charcoal, which can then be used to make turn coal into coke, which the kiln then takes in order to make crafts. Also from there, the wood furnace made ash, which can then glaze the porcelain crafts, so adding more value because that's a decoration. What I also did was, it's not there anymore, but I took my starting anvil and set up a metalsmith nearby, and then just pumped out the iron trap components, so enormous corkscrews and serrated discs. That used to be an overpowered way to get value. They've fixed that, I see, but it was still something to hand to the merchants as proof of craftsmanship. So the merchants went back, told stories of how a settlement was getting along well, and in spring some migrants came. You do not get a pause or anything, the migrants will just come. You just have to look at the left here to see when they come and then examine them and decide what to do with them. What happened next? And then winter set in. So usually it's from the second year onwards that hostiles can start showing up. So I wanted a more secure perimeter, because it really was just a smattering of random buildings in open surface around the wagon at first. So, sealed off the original staircase so creatures can't walk around through there. I created this region as an underground farm, so where there is soil and the rock started 2 layers down, so this intermediate layer could just build farm plots. Otherwise, to do farming on rock, you need to irrigate the rock first. That doesn't work in reality, but it's a Dwarf Fortress. So you put water on the rock to make it into mud, and then you can make farms. What was I saying? Yeah, farm plots on underground soil is the quickest and easiest way to get a sustainable food industries going. Right at the start though, just gathering is probably quicker. So I came with a proficient herbalist who doubles as a farmer, and before we set up the farm plots, he was out gathering plants from the wild. I made sure to cut the wood first, so designate lumber to cut down first, and so that the tree wouldn't fall on the other dwarves. And then I would assign to gather like this. And so they would go out there and gather wild plants. Oh, plums. But can I just gather like this? Gotta look up how to get fruit from trees again. No, it wasn't bad. This arrow lets you select priorities, so you can say I want this to be a higher priority than that region and such. But anyway, enough of that. Surface fort. So down here was a small sweatshop where migrants and everyone helped out make stone blocks. I happened to demand microcline to be what I make the walls out of because I like the blue color. So the miners, now that they were skilled, would leave behind intact boulders and the dwarves would come in and just haul them over here. This stockpile here used to be where I was gathering nothing but microcline. I have repainted it to be small now that I no longer need to do this. But this was bigger, and the dwarves, using wheelbarrows, would bring boulders of microcline here, where other dwarves would then be turning that into blocks. One boulder becomes 4 blocks. And so then we made a stockpile here for just the custom stone microcline blocks. So from the sweatshop, blocks would come out, dwarves will haul that over to here, ready to construct, and then it was build, constructions, wall, where I would just be placing walls and going, I want everything to be made out of microcline blocks. What next? And then, so after building walls, we only need to build a roof as well. So this ramp I constructed, and then they could go up onto the wall and access the surface. This is another ramp I placed so that they could keep going up, well, so that they could get down after having completely walled this place off. Do not leave your dwarves stranded like that. They will starve and drink, and they can't jump off. Maybe they can nowadays, but it used to be that they just refused to do that. What other things happened? And then, meantime, I also set up a quick militia with, let's see, view positions, customize. Yep, stare at this, stare at the equipment. So I set up an archer squad, which would translate to crossbows for dwarves, and told them to just start training. So that means setting up a zone for an archery range where they're saying you will shoot to the left, and a barracks where they can, well, train, but that's more for melee dwarves. You then have to assign the squad to use it. So in this case, I have 2 archery squads set to train here, and that's after building archery targets. So that's build military archery target, and you can make it out of whatever block. This one is made out of microcline blocks again. I have no idea how that would work in reality. It's like you're making an archery target out of stone. That would ricochet a lot, but nope, Dwarf Fortress does not care about that. And then, oh, excellent, they've finally started to bin these things. Let me just see. Do they have a bin? Yep, ammo bin with bolts being placed inside there. They're even using iron bolts for training. That's okay. I still don't know what details. Do they have something for? No. I'm gonna have to research that later. How do we make squads use different bolts depending on the situation? Because you want bone bolts for training, but metal bolts for lethal combat. Then again, in the Steam premium version, I've noticed that it's really, really easy to find metal now. So perhaps I can just have them use iron all the time. Now, what I have been doing here is dwarves, I dug out a channel so that the archery targets would not consume bolts. I don't know whether that's still the case, but even if not, it's convenient for picking it up because the bolt gets shot into the archery target and then stops its trajectory and falls down right into another ammo stockpile. And then the bins are there, and so It's easier for dwarves to refill because the bolts are right there. Let's see. Let me... So, used bolts then become forbidden. So, items can be forbidden or unforbidden. So, there are circumstances where you do not want dwarves to go pick things up complete with no regard for anything else. Case would be the webs underground. There are underground spiders which are releasing silk, and you dwarves would want to grab them, but by default they are forbidden so that they don't wander into danger without you giving them some attention. Now, here I can claim. So now the dwarves will come and use this. Anyway, in the meantime, I then set up, you can see from underground, this is like the moat, well not quite a moat, but a deep pit that I dug on either side. I have a bridge, two bridges so that when the caravans come, they have no problem getting in here. But when there are hostiles, and I'm going to need to do something about this part, but when hostiles come, the bridges are retracted, so these become holes, so the only path then is this narrow passageway. And if they happen to fall off here, which can happen because the archers are over here practicing, so as soon as they spot a hostile, they're already in position to start shooting. So if they shoot and enemy dodges it, then typically they move to the side, in which case they will, without this bridge, this becomes a hole and they will drop down and they will have to walk back up and start over. Even if the archers aren't there, these are weapon traps that I have put together so that, let's see, this is build, traps, weapon. You need a mechanism built from a mechanics workshop and then some weapon that you assign on here. And so from there, this forms a first layer of defense. What happens next? So the militia are up here training. And then I have some dogs chained, roped, tethered to the entrance. These are the sentries. So members of your civilization, which includes animals, can spot otherwise stealthy creatures. As I recall, kobolds will walk in stealth and try and snatch something away. Hence this security arrangement. Over here is an artifact that was created from a Fey mood. So this is something that dwarves can get into where they are consumed by an overwhelming artistic desire, divine inspiration, call it what you will, to make something legendary. In this case, he only needed like two things, a rock and some wood. But if a kobold happened to get in here and steal something like that away, you do not want that kind of thing to happen. Dwarves get unhappy even if masterpieces get stolen. Hence why I have made a special stockpile just to put masterwork bolts. In fact, this pile, for instance, does not take masterwork bolts, just to distinguish them. Anyway, now that we're in our second year and we finished the surface fort, it was about time we start building proper rooms for everyone, because they'd been sleeping in a dormitory for a year. They deserve better than that. So, since I had dug out a very long path to get from the surface down to the magma, that naturally became where I stick out bedrooms. So this was a path, I have smoothed it, and I can just say, yep, we will now dig out small rooms here. Typically 2 by 2 will be enough. 3 by 3 is a little on the luxurious side, but you place your beds in there, like, let's see, oh, these are bad beds, yeah, these are the crap beds. Build a bed, you can select which quality to place in there in case you are particular about this. Yep, here's a crap bed. And then you assign a bedroom. Except, you don't have to assign it. You can individually assign it. You don't have to. And it's nice to give a door to these bedrooms. So microcline doors. Let's put a crap door there. In case you're wondering, let's build a door. These glyphs on the left and right of an item represent the quality. The more lines there are, the better quality is. So 1 means 1 tier better. A plus means tier 2. A star means tier 3. Triple equals, so an equivalent sign means tier 4, and masterwork is tier 5. So meantime, here I am setting aside a dining room. So this was going to be a bedroom, but then there were some gems encrusted here, so dug out those gems, and I could just like build a wall with like bricks or something, but I prefer natural rock walls because then you can smooth it like this and eventually engrave it. I'm not engraving anything right now until I have a skilled engraver who can... Oh, he was a stone cutter as well. Huh. Who can make high quality engravings. But that's just a particular point of me. You don't have to like insist upon quality. Thing you can do with workshops. All right, it's stone carver we needed, not stone cutter. Carvers are masons, they make the furniture, and cutters are people who make crafts and toys. They work at different workstations, but they are otherwise very similarly named, and it confuses me even to this day. We could make rock pots instead for barrels. So that's where my fort currently is. Just improving things now that we have the bare essentials ready. I will be making a dining room, better offices, and some temples will be needed for these dwarves as well. And I'm still getting used to just how ludicrously abundant metals are. I'm using gold and iron to make furniture, where normally I would be using stone for that. Like, look at like these like dug out veins. What was an example? Go up to like this, for instance. Tetrahedrites makes copper and silver, and this large vein just came out from here, and now I can just turn this into another bedroom, a section of bedrooms rather. And likewise, near the surface, there were also like this. By the way, this is terrible for pathing. Ideally, you want to make sure to place traffic zones or some such so that later on the dwarves aren't trying to path all the way to here in order to find things. But for now, this is okay. Anyway, that about does it for this stream. It's that Alter Sanity thanks you for your time.